All right, guys, we're getting cozy today because it's just me and I have not done a solo in the studio in forever. But I'm coming into the city for something else. I'm actually going live on Amazon reviewing toddler toys. So I would say tune in, but it will have already happened by the time you listen to this. Anyway, I'm coming in for that, and I was supposed to have this full city extravagant day. And therefore, I booked the studio to come in and do a solo. But I am now far out of my COVID quarantine, but it has just decided to run through our family and childcare. So we canceled most of my day, but I came in to still make this happen because I do like actually being in a studio. I know that I want to make my office a studio so that there is that separation, but I thoroughly enjoy coming in and also being here. Okay, what I want to talk about today, I'm trying to figure out the theme for this, but I guess it's kind of like being in tune with my emotions and tapping back into myself and following the signs. I've said for a while now, I've been trying to tap back into my not woo-woo or holistic, but kind of more spiritual side of things. And I have felt this feeling of stuck for a long time. And it started when I was pregnant, which is no surprise because for me, pregnancy just messes with my mental health, whether it's my anxiety like it was the first pregnancy or my depression like it was the second. Who knows? Maybe if I have a third, we'll somehow be gifted with like none of that. That would be so nice instead of the combo. But I just felt really stuck with work. And then after giving birth, I really tried to prioritize my maternity leave and make it a thing and like really try to stick to those boundaries. And I did, but then I went right back in and I felt stuck still. And it's been this feeling for a few months now. And that's, well, actually, I guess now it's been like a long time because if you combine pregnancy and postpartum, you basically get to a year and a half. And here we are. And that is why I initially started seeing my spinal energy healing coach. I don't know if coach is the right word. I don't think it is, but practitioner, Tiffany, she's amazing. I will link her in the show notes. But that's why I originally started seeing her because I was like, I just feel this stuck mentality with my energy, with work, with everything. The vibes were just not where I wanted them to be. And I don't really know how to explain it other than that. I feel like there's a moment where when you're in flow, you feel like everything's working for you. And I'm going to stumble with my words because I have still this like residuary phlegm stuck on the top of my nose and it's driving me insane. And so every once in a while, I feel like I can't breathe. But when you feel like things are in flow and they're moving the right way, things are just happening. And I'm not saying everything is positive that's happening to you, but even when not so great things are happening, there's like a silver lining in it somehow. And it's just aligning and you feel like you're moving in the right direction and things are coming to you and you can take on the challenges. And I love that feeling. There's nothing better than that feeling. And if you've been there, you know. And that's why I know when I'm stuck because it's the polar opposite of that. I felt like this bottleneck grasp almost that I was doing to work and also life where nothing can then come in or out and it's just like stuck and it's me trying to control everything. And it's how I spend so much of my life. And so I think because I've moved past that, when I regress back to those feelings, I notice like, oh wow, I'm really trying to control this situation and it's not going to go my way or any way because there's no movement for it to even go anywhere. So I started getting these pings, what I will now reference them as, of this program called To Be Magnetic. None of this is sponsored. I paid full money for this. I don't even have an affiliate link. I'm making nothing off of this. It's just deeply helped me. So I wanted to put it out there for anyone else who may be feeling this way. And someone who I have been friends with, but become a little bit closer with recently, who I love, who I will also link in the show notes. You can follow her, is Elizabeth from Sweats in the City. And she's someone who's been an expander for me in the sense of every time I see her and Dale, both of the people behind Sweats in the City, do things, I just feel like they have this way about them where they're making it work. They are constantly like doing things that they're passionate about. It's working for them. They're seeing success. And I've always really admired them and their business and the way that they run their account and their side projects and all of that. And so Elizabeth had been talking about To Be Magnetic, and we got coffee a while ago, and I was telling her about my spinal energy healing. And we just feel very similarly around certain practitioners, and we've seen a lot of the same people. And so we were catching up. She was telling me about how she did the To Be Magnetic course, and I know she did a solo episode on it. So I will link that as well that you can listen to. Her podcast is awesome. And I felt really pulled, mainly because I felt I had kind of given up on my meditation practice. I just let it go by the wayside. Same with my journaling. Again, I just felt stuck with work, and specifically around work, I felt like there were so many things I wanted to do and I was holding myself back, and I was not satisfied with where we were from a business perspective a few months ago. So basically, and I'm going to butcher some of this because I don't work for To Be Magnetic, but this woman, Lacey Phillips, started this program. She also has a podcast and social media channels, but the concept is that you manifest actually in your subconscious. So by bringing in these deep imaginings, which are, I don't think this is the terminology she uses, but what I can describe it as would be kind of like these guided meditations, but with these beats of music also integrated into it so that it's like tapping into the neuroplasticity of your brain. Is that the right word? Neuro wavelengths. They work with neurologists on this, and I'm going to let you go to their website to get the intense details. But with the deep imaginings and then aligned action, which is acting in ways that are actually providing space and opportunity for these things you're manifesting, and surrounding yourself with expanders who are people who you admire in certain realms of whatever it is you're manifesting. So Elizabeth, for example, is an expander for me because I feel like she really just makes it work and follows who she is to her truest core, and things happen for her. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve these things and she's not working for them, but opportunities align themselves with her based on what she's interested in. Another expander for me is someone like Chloe, who is my like creative brain behind my brand, because she is someone who I find when I'm with her, I feel more creative. I feel more energized by my work. I feel more excited by things. And I think that that's due to her energy and her creativity and her passion for her career. So these are just examples, and it's going to differ based on what you're expanding or what you're manifesting. But you're surrounding yourself with these people who in some realm, it doesn't have to be every sense, have something that you are looking to manifest or expand upon. So I did the How to Manifest course, and I made it my like priority for that entire week because I felt like I was so overwhelmed with all of these things I really wanted to get done, whether it was organizing the garage, dealing with our garden, and this course. Like there were 3 personal things that I really wanted to tackle in the month of July. And instead of constantly dabbling between the 3 with my free time, I dedicated like 1 week. Anytime I had free time, I would focus on that specific thing. So I prioritized To Be Magnetic course for 1 week, and I was able to go through the course and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And already I started to feel like, okay, this feels right. This feels aligned with stuff that I'm interested in. And whether it's, I was saying this to my therapist, whether it's all in my fucking head or not, I honestly don't care. Like, I don't care if none of this is real because it makes me believe in myself. And I see a difference. And also it shifts my priorities and my habits. And I think that's the biggest thing and what I was talking to my therapist about because, for example, I spend more time scrolling on my phone than I want to. And I have these voices inside my head that are constantly like, put down your phone, put down your phone. Why are you scrolling? You don't need to see these people's stories. You don't need to know what's happening in these people's lives. Like, put it down. It doesn't make you feel good. If you don't have that, scroll away. Like, fine. But I know that it's not great for my mental health. And for example, I'd be walking Charlie in the morning and I'd be on my phone and I'd be kind of scrolling or I'd be doing something or I'd be hopping between 10 different things on my cell phone, which is my ADHD brain, like in physical form of my phone. And it's terrifying to observe. And instead, lately, I've been doing the deep imaginings where I put it on in the app on my phone and I put in headphones or I just listen to it on my cell phone. And I'm doing these guided types meditations while I'm walking, while I'm observing everything that's happening around me, while I'm actually present. And that right there, whether it's the to be magnetic work or the fact that I'm simply like taking time for myself and not flooding my brain with constant stimulation and content, has made a massive change. So I want to go through some of the things that I've been like, wow, that's weird. That's weird. This all started, rewind, to the first coffee I was having with Elizabeth. And these are just some of the things where I don't know what the term for them are, but they're these little signs that it's like, you're on the right path. It's working. Something's happening. The universe is universing. So we're at coffee and I'm telling her that we're talking about like virality on TikTok or social media. And I was saying, oh, I have this reel or TikTok that's going viral right now. And it's like hitting the side of TikTok that is not my demographic. It was one of my trailers with Eve Rodsky about division of labor, and it went mega viral and it hit angry men on TikTok. And so all of these like angry men were in my comments. And we were just talking about it. And I was like, you know what? That actually doesn't bother me because I'm like, whatever. I don't care if you like me. Like, you're so not my demographic. And clearly you're so triggered about this conversation. And simultaneously, we then were talking about how I love Paige DeSorbo and I've been watching Summer House and how I listen to Giggly Squad and how she's a dream guest for the show. And then even more, to take it the next layer, we start talking about something else. And I bring up the creator Tiffany, who I also love, who's come on the show. And I was telling Elizabeth about her. And so whatever, we leave. I'm like, have a great day. See you tomorrow. As I'm walking away from that coffee, not see you tomorrow. Don't know why I said that. See you when I see you. As I'm leaving that coffee, I go into my TikTok, my notifications on the reel that was going viral. And it says, Paige DeSorbo has liked your TikTok. I'm like, what the fucking fuck are the odds? That is too weird. That's really, really strange. Like she didn't follow me at the time. We had never communicated. She never liked any of my things, but she liked that one specific video after I had just been talking about her and that video. And so I text Elizabeth. I'm like, you will never believe this, whatever. Then that night, I'm on Instagram and I go to Paige's profile and I'm watching her stories. And she was weirdly with Tiffany. And obviously, I'm not connected to any of this. Like, this has nothing to do with me. But it was just this moment where I was like, the universe is universing right now. I've never in a million years seen those two friends. I guess they are friends. I've never seen them together, never seen them on each other's social. It was just very odd. So that was my first sign. And that was literally the coffee where we were talking about to be magnetic and how I was committed to her. I said, I'm going to do it. So I started to do it. And then I had this other moment the other day where I was on a walk with Charlie and I was listening to one of the deep imaginings. And in my head, I was like, I do feel like things have really been working for me lately. I've had these amazing opportunities, but also like I just feel more aligned with work. I'm generally happier and I do feel like things are going my way. So I'm walking and I am looking at this house that's under construction and it's beautiful. And I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be weird if I'm looking at what number it is? Because I want to then go home and look at it. I'm like, oh, people think like numbers are signs. What if I just like got a sign right now that wasn't my number, like 444? And I'm not like an angel number person, but 4 has always been my number. And then I don't see one. I'm like, okay, well, that would be too weird if that happened. But I would like a sign today that like, you're on the right path. And I get home, I'm doing my DMs and someone asks me like, oh, what's the link for your robe that I wear every day? And I'm like, oh, okay, Print Fresh, love them. You know what? I send it to her and I'm like, ding, ding. Remember, when you're done responding to these messages, send them a DM and ask if you can have a contact for someone to reach out to about working together because you love their stuff. You wear it all the time. You link it all the freaking time. You should work with them. So I have that in my head. I go to the next message. This kind soul, this beautiful girl sent me this long, long, long message about basically like feeling validated through my content. And it was really sweet and the type of message that makes me feel really good about what I'm doing. And the last line was like, whether it's your podcast or your Substack or your social media, like just know that you're on your path, you're on the right path and you're doing what you're meant to be doing. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I go to message Print Fresh, and 3 minutes ago, they had messaged me. So while I was reading this girl's message, they messaged me, hey, we'd love to work together. Can you please send over your media kit or email XYZ person selects? We had not messaged in weeks. Like I have not been actively messaging them. Sure, I had tagged them like weeks ago, but it was so fucking weird. The odds were crazy. So that was another thing where I was like, the universe is universing. And then the third and final one that I want to dive deeper into, I talked about to be magnetic in my Substack. And a woman, Carrie, commented and was like, I've been following you for a long time. I actually used to do TV, like I used to coach for TBM. I would love to have a call with you and do what they call like an unblocking session. So a lot of this is working through the things that are blocks for you, I guess, that are taking up time and are taking away from you being able to or in a place to actually receive what you are attempting to manifest. So I'm like, sure, why not? I would love to. We hop on the phone and within an hour, like that hour session, I worked through so much stuff that has, yes, like come up in therapy, but not necessarily. It's not really like the focus for me. But with the template of TBM and talking through what I've been trying to mentally work through on my own, it was fascinating to piece everything together. So I'm going to like explain one of them. For example, I was saying that one of the things I'm manifesting that I really want to work towards is growing my podcast. It's my favorite thing to do. I love it. I love the people I connect with. I love connecting with my community. I love the feedback I receive, all of those things. But I have felt really stuck with it. Not the past 3 months, but like prior to that. So I guess like during the end of my pregnancy and postpartum, I just felt very stuck with my show. And I was getting very down on myself and beating myself up over it. And it wasn't like bringing the joy and excitement and fun that I wanted it to and that it once did. And one of the reasons, this isn't the sole reason, but I think this ties into a multitude of how I'm feeling specifically in the show, is I'm like, I hate that it's become video because then I feel like I have to get dressed and I have to look a certain way. And then that like literally blocks me from excitement and joy of being there because I'm so focused leading into it of like, what am I going to wear? What is this? And then I watch the video for the trailers and I'm like, oh my God, I can't look at myself anymore. Like I'm sick of it. And she was like, why do you feel you have to wear a certain thing? And I'm like, well, this ties into so much of my life where I feel kind of this like unworthiness, quote unquote. And it is brought from two paths. The one path being I have this fear because I've been told by people when I was young, a soccer coach told me, and then unfortunately trolls have just like turned the volume up on some of my inner critical voices of like, I don't deserve anything because I came from privilege. And so I've always felt like I have to work 10 times harder to prove that like something wasn't just handed to me, that I am deserving of it. And I am well aware that those two things can coexist. Like there's no denying a privilege that you have and you can still work hard. But I felt like I always had to prove that it wasn't just given to me. And so there was that feeling of like, I'm not worthy. And then there was the feeling of I don't quote unquote dress the part. And like, who am I? What am I supposed to be wearing? I don't look like other people who are succeeding in the realms of this world that I want to succeed in. And she was like, all right, let's unpack that. Today's episode is brought to you by one of my absolutely favorite brands, specifically for my children, Little Spoon. Little Spoon offers you mealtime and snack time options for your baby, kid, toddler. They are a fan favorite in our household, okay? They have so many options. They have their smoothies, they have their puffs, They have their plates, they have their biteables, they have their baby blends. There's an option for like every age of kid once you start solids. And specifically, we love the biteables for our baby now that he's 9 months old and we do baby-led weaning. This one specifically that we love is the grass-fed meatballs, the mac and cheese, and the broccoli. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. There are times where we don't have anything in the fridge and I will heat up one of these for myself because they're that good. It's mac and cheese, meatballs, and broccoli. Like, what is not to like? I call this girl dinner. No, but really, he's obsessed with it. And then for our toddler, he loves the plates. This is an example that I have right here of like the chicken nuggets one. It has peas and a sweet potato mash. The fan favorite of my toddler is the whole wheat penne with the meatballs and the broccoli. As you can tell, we're like a meatball family and pasta. We love it. I cannot say enough positive things about Little Spoon. My favorite thing though is that they get delivered right to my door. Like, I go online, I have a subscription, I know when everything's coming, I can edit it, I can modify, I can pick what I want. We always have to have the strawberry banana shake as multiples in our smoothie options because that is a absolute favorite that everyone in this household fights over. But it comes right to my door and it just takes the ease out of worrying about whether I have lunches and dinners for my kids. They also do have lunch options as well, which we have sent to school and camp for our toddler a multitude of times. If you guys are like me and you're always looking for an option, simplify your kiddos' mealtime with 30% off your first order. Go to, Charlie is up here right now. He's sniffing everything. Okay, this is not for you, okay? Go to littlespoon.com/Cameron30 and enter our code Cameron30 at checkout to get 30% off your first Little Spoon order. I cannot say enough positive things about this brand, and I know you will love them as well. So, for example, I feel my most authentic self, which is a big part of TBM, is like getting to your core authentic self and what that looks like before you were given all of these woulds or shoulds by society or other people in your life. And for me, it's in athletic clothes. Like, hands down, I had a moment the other day where I was in an oversized t-shirt, biker shorts, and sneakers, and I was running around all day. My hair was up. I had worked out and just never showered and gone about my entire day. And I remember having this moment where I looked at myself and I was like, this is when I feel my most confident. This is when I feel the most true to myself, the prettiest, the most me. And I think a large part of it is because I played sports my whole life. So like being in athletic clothes was quite literally when I felt my most confident because it was when I was doing the thing I'm most confident at. It was what I was in the most. It was when I was the happiest playing sports. Like, all of those things make sense to me. But I feel like there's been this pressure, whether it be from my mother and like upbringing or society or the career that I'm in, to look a different way than that. And so I was even saying, like, growing up, being told by my mom, like, we cannot wear sweatpants on a plane. Like, you have to wear real clothes. And just like little things like that. Or like, can you just put some lipstick on, please? Like, love you to death. She's my best friend. She is a diva in and of herself, but we're just very different in that way. And I think whether it was her directly saying it or me observing her, I'm not putting it all on her whatsoever, me observing her or like society observing the differences between us, I felt a pressure to look a certain way, almost in coexistence with her appearance, which is not where I feel aligned or my most authentic self. And then go into being a adult and a mom. I don't know. I feel this like standard that I'm supposed to look a certain way or dress a certain way. And then with my career being public facing, it's like, oh, well, you see all these influencers and they've got on these like stylish and nice outfits and they're all done up and their hair and their makeup is done and they're like put together, I guess would be the terms. I don't know, because I said professional and she was like, well, what makes that more professional than a sweat set? And I don't know what it is, but I have felt this like pressure to be something that I'm honestly just not. And it was very freeing when we talked about this because she was like, okay, give me an example of someone, and an example of someone who I love, who is an expander for me in many, many ways, is a Melissa Witteberberg. And I'm like, I will never be as put together or stylish or like dress the way she does. But when I see her, I'm like, oh, well, should I be looking like that? And then she asked me like, who are some of your other expander podcasters? And I was like, okay, Alex Cooper, for example. And I'm like, that's so interesting because she is truly like living my dream, killing it, especially with what she's doing, what she just did with the Olympics. Like that's truly my dream. And she's pretty much in a sweat set every single time she does an interview or does anything podcast related. And so she was like, that's fascinating to observe because why are you're literally witnessing it, you're seeing it, but you're still telling yourself that that can't be you. That can be you. Like you don't have to, and that can be you because it's you is what I should like more focus on saying. You don't have to change your ways or who you are or your authentic self to fit a mold of what you see or what you've been told by whoever it might be that you should be like. And the more I started leaning into that and the more fun I had started having around that of just like giving myself grace, being like, I want to wear whatever the fuck I want to wear. And I'm going to continue to show up like myself. And it even comes through in like content. You see people doing videos. And I know that this is not relatable to many people's jobs because obviously majority of my listeners are not creators, but I think it's applicable to whatever your career is or even just what you're seeing on social media from a standpoint of lifestyle and you're comparing yourself. You're seeing these things and it's like, oh, I should be doing that. Or, oh, if that's working for them, maybe it'll work for me. Or as long as you put on those blinders and simply focus on what is bringing you joy and what makes you happy and being yourself, you will succeed in a way that is way higher than trying to do things that you feel you should be doing based on other people's success. Because those other people might be seeing success because that is their authentic self. Like what they're doing is what is true to them. And I had that moment where like I even was looking at my content. And I'm like, okay, what content is really like hitting and what's performing well and what's connecting with my audience? And the videos that were, again, this is specific to my work, but the videos that I could see in the analytics were me just being myself. And all this to say, I'm leaning deep into I'm going to be me. And I'm going to continue to show up as my authentic self. And I realize that some people aren't going to like it. And I think that that's been the hardest thing of being like, oh, well, I don't want to like disappoint people. I don't want people to be upset with me. I don't want people to be angry with me. And not give a fuck. Because it's really easy to be loud in the bleachers. But I'm on the field of my life. I'm trying to bring in this analogy and I don't know if that made sense. But I'm on the field and I'm going to do me. So I'm very much enjoying this course. I feel like it's opened up so much for me. There are a few other work things that I can't really talk about, but that like all were just these aha moments. There's been something that I've been saying I've wanted to create for maybe 2 years. And a company reached out to me about actually making this possible. And we're doing it. And I'm so excited. I think it's going to be such a big hit for this community. And I am pumped because I want it in my hands, like for myself. And I cannot wait to put it in everyone else's hands. But it's just wild. It's wild how when you start to prioritize your mental health, you start to do things that really are focused on you. You put on your blinders and you lean in to what actually brings you and sparks your joy. Shit just starts to work. Okay. So we are in deep alignment over here and I'm leaning in and I'm hoping that I want to continue this wave, ride this wave. Even, last example before we get into some voicemails, even the fact that like right now COVID is running rampant through our family, for instance, tomorrow I was supposed to come into the city again and I was kind of freaking out because I'm like, I don't want to leave our baby if he has COVID. And like, obviously I'm not leaving him alone. My husband's with him, but I just felt like I wanted to be there. And I was like, okay, let me confirm what I have tomorrow. Nope, it was already canceled. Like, and I'm very happy about it. It wasn't one of those canceled that was like, shit, now I have to like change everything. I got the email that it was canceled and it was like, wow, this just worked out freaking perfectly. Okay, let's get into the voicemails. Okay, we're going to do 2 voicemails. I have not listened to them yet, so we will be responding fresh together. Reminder, if you want to do a voicemail, and again, we're going to do some more like specific solo episodes where we have voicemail submissions sent in around that topic. But if you want to leave a general voicemail for us to get to whenever we do solo episodes and try to bring them in, you can go to the link in the show notes and that'll bring you to a page. You just hit record and it's like super freaking easy. Okay. First up, Elena.
Hey, Cam. I just wanted to start by saying I love your content so much and listening to your podcast weekly. I particularly love how open and honest you are about mental health and the struggles people go through, and really appreciate how you always emphasize that we are not alone and other people are probably going through the same struggles. I am I'm going to be a senior in college, and I just wanted to ask you guys about that. I'm going to be a teacher, and I'm really excited about it. It seems right for me, but I guess I just have a question about like how to deal with friends who seem to be judging you about your career path. They aren't worried about it or anything. They just are like, we don't. Like, I could never work with kids and I just feel judged by them. So I guess just, like, advice you have for, like, quieting that, like, judgment in my mind and just dealing with my own thoughts and knowing that this is the right career path. Like, I know I want to be a teacher, but I also don't want my friends to get in my head and I don't want to feel judged and I want them to respect my decision. And even if they don't want to do this, like, how can I feel confident in it? So I know that's long and all that, but thanks so much.
Okay, that's so weird because I feel like this is what we were just talking about. Like this aligns perfectly with everything that I feel I just said. First and foremost, thank you so much for listening to the show. And when you said you were a senior in college, I'm like, oh my God, you're a baby. Like you have so much life ahead of you that feels like forever ago. And the fact that you're even focused on your mental health and like taking these steps to ask these types of questions, I really admire because I sure shit was not. Secondly, I wish that we praised teachers the way that they deserve. I always knew that. I was always like, oh, teachers are amazing. And then I had a kid who I now send to school. And I'm like, these teachers are saints, literal saints. I would do anything for them. I love them. And I love the amount of teachers we have in the FF fam. Like you guys are truly doing the Lord's fucking work. And you deserve a lot more than you receive. So thank you very much for everything you're doing. In terms of feeling judgment from your friends, I'm sorry, because that really sucks. And whether they actually are judging you or they're saying offhand remarks that you feel is like potentially misplaced judgment or underlying judgment, either way, I'm sorry, because that's not a fun feeling to have. What I would say is remember what you want. Like you're not asking them to be a teacher. If it's something they don't want to do, that's totally fine. But it's clearly something that you feel pulled to and that you're excited by. And so continue to lean into that, lean into your interests, not theirs. You're interested in being a teacher. You're passionate about it. You seem excited to do it. So like continue to lean into that. Put the blinders on. And again, like be you, lead into yourself and follow your own interests. It's really easy to get wrapped up in the shoulda, woulda, coulda, or what other people are doing and feel like we should be doing that. But again, we really need to just be doing what we are passionate about and what we want to spend our time doing. I think if you're really continuing to feel judgment from them, I don't think it hurts to say, like in response to one of their comments, hey, like I know that you say you could never work with kids. Like sometimes when you say that, I feel a little judged and I just want to put that out there because I don't think it's what you mean, but I want to say that that's kind of how it comes across. And I think that that would hopefully be well received by your friends. I think I've even said offhand remarks like, oh my God, I could never do this, because not in a judgment way, more so like I applaud you for having the patience that I could never have. And maybe that's where they're coming from, but I don't think it hurts to say that. I'm all for open dialogue with friendships and relationships in general. So I think that that would only positively help the situation. But again, you're doing you, you're doing what you want to be doing, you're doing what you're passionate about, and that's all you should be focused on. So thank you for the work and thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. All right, next one.
Hi, Cam. I'm a longtime listener, and I'm selfishly so pumped that Lucy got engaged because I'm the exact same age, and I'm also engaged and planning my wedding for next summer, August 25. I would love you and or Lucy's takes on bachelorette party location ideas. I have people coming from New York, the West Coast, and I now live in Chicago. So need somewhere somewhat easy to travel to. But we're thinking, I want something kind of with activities, maybe naturey or beach, and then we want, spa vibes. So congrats to Lucy. I would love your takes. I'm currently thinking Sedona, Arizona, or maybe Mexico City. But open to anything, really. Congrats, Lucy. Bye.
Okay, even though Lucy doesn't listen to the show, shout out Lucy for being engaged. We're still celebrating. This is a very hot topic because Lucy and I are constantly discussing where her bachelorette's going to be because I have appointed myself as the person who will plan it. I have a lot of ideas for her, but it's so hard to find something that works for everyone. And again, you're not going to find something that works for every single person that's invited, but I do think you want to account for everyone's travel, everyone's financials, everyone's time, and the general vibe that you're going for. So for me, I did mine in Charleston, what feels like so freaking long ago. I wanted the vibe of my most important thing. And so I think this is what you need to do of literally listing out your top priorities. My top priority was I wanted a house. I didn't want people in hotel rooms where there was no specific common ground or meeting point. And I like in a house how there is just general ability to hang out throughout the day. It doesn't have to be this planned excursion. So in between the plans, there's still time to socialize or have downtime and you can interact with everyone. It's not just the person you're potentially staying in a hotel room with. So that was my top priority, was a house. The cost was another big priority for me of keeping it in a certain range. And then also, I knew I didn't want to go clubbing. I wanted to be somewhere that we could be by water and do some form of water day, but then also go to bars and be in casual clothes and just have fun. So that's why we picked Charleston. I think the places that I've thrown out for Lucy are Charleston, yes, and Austin, just because I freaking love Austin. However, those are two major bachelorette places right now, so I don't know if that's a vibe that you're necessarily going for. When you said nature, my brain was immediately pulled to Jackson Hole, but I don't know what time of year you're planning on doing this. I just can't stop thinking about Jackson Hole. I went there 2 years ago now, maybe, and I am itching to go back. I literally envision myself on this hike in this body of water that we did daily when I'm meditating. And because there are people from the West Coast and you're in Chicago, it's not awful for the East Coast. It's definitely far, but it could be really fun. Yes, love Arizona. We also did Moab. We hiked, which was really fun with my group of college friends, but I don't know if there's a going out bar scene in that area. I don't know if that's a priority for you. Also, you could do, hold on, this is something that Tyler's been talking about, but doing the Ozarks, because if you're in Chicago, I need to look at a map right now because I could be giving completely awful information. No, they're in Midwest, aren't they? Yeah. You could do the Ozarks and do something really fun on the water, with aspects of nature. Again, I literally have zero context because I've never been there, but I'm just thinking of middle ground for everyone. And then another middle ground-ish spot, but it's just really overdone for bachelorettes would be Nashville, but I fucking love Nashville. There's just not really that nature. But now that I'm also looking at a map, wow, this is fun for me to look at a map. Two things. You could do an area of North Carolina. Asheville is popping up. I know my cousin used to live there and she said that there were these gorgeous hikes and it was beautiful. And I do think that the town is kind of becoming something. Or you could do Denver. I love love Denver and talk about amazing nature. And I feel like there's so much to do no matter what time of year you're going. And if you're considering Sedona, Denver is even closer for the East Coast people. Not by much, but it is. So those would probably be my suggestions. I don't know if that helped at all, but just tossing some ideas out there for you. Okay. Today was kind of all over the place, but I hope some part of it resonated with one of you or a few of you or all of you. I so appreciate you listening to the show. It truly means the world to me. And I'm really, really excited by some stuff we have lined up and some fun things happening. So please stay tuned, continue to listen, to share, to follow, do all of the things, subscribe, rate, review. It all helps. And I appreciate you. Everything I talked about will be linked in the show notes. And I hope you have a great day, week, whatever it might be. Rest of your summer. You guys are the best.